As a Mario fan, one of my favorite games of all time would be Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and yes, specifically the Bowser's Fury campaign. Despite only being out for a few months, I can safely say that this will become a classic in a few years. It's a perfect mix of Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario 3D World and Super Mario Odyssey, all in one game, so I thought, let's rank all of the levels in the game. In my opinion, this game has one of the best level selections of any Mario game. I actually thought that none of the levels were actually outright bad and only a few kind of mediocre ones. So this ranking will mainly go from the least good to best. But before we start, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this, because at 1000 subscribers I will actually do a ranking of every single Mario Party game. So with that being said, let's get started. Alright, so I wasn't sure if I was gonna include this island or not. However, according to the Super Mario wiki page of this game, it is classified as an island like the rest, so I'm gonna include it. Lucky Isle is the only island in Bowser's Fury which is merely playable during the post-game. It's also the smallest of all isles, floating randomly above certain locations in the game, and it can only be accessed during the Fury Bowser phase, in which you must get to wherever it's floating above now and then get a single shine. Although there are 5 shines on this island, so you have to do it 5 times. It's a really interesting concept, and it works. It gives you a reason to go back to islands you might have otherwise already completed, because the Lucky Isle might be floating there. However, it obviously doesn't stand a chance against the other levels. I mean, it's really just an island in the sky, and half the time it's not even accessible. Is it fun? Yes. Is it better than any other legitimate island though? No. For this reason, Lucky Isle is last on this list. Oh boy, I have a feeling that the placement for Slipskate Slope on my list is gonna upset a lot of people, as from what I've seen, this is a fan favorite among people. I think it's good, but there are definitely a few things making it the worst of the real islands for me. It's also a strictly linear island, which does contribute to its low spot, however, that's not the main reason it's down here. In this level, you use an ice skate to traverse down a giant slope with spikes, rotating tunnels, etc. But to be completely honest, I hate this thing. Driving in this ice skate is like driving over ice in Mario Kart. You don't have any control. You slip and slide and it's just annoying. It's creative, sure, but I prefer levels where I have control over what I'm doing. But it's not all bad. My favorite mission is the one where you need to get the key back to the top by walking on the ledges of the slide. It's one of the most creative missions of the entire game, and I kind of wish more areas in the game did something like this. So overall, even if this is my least favorite of the real islands in the game, it's still good. Kind of annoying, but it's hard to deny that this is one unique level. When you first play Bowser's Fury for the first hour or so, you might be stumped at the lack of any boss battles. Aside from Fury Bowser, there really doesn't seem to be any other big boss to fight. Well, that's only until you get the Clawswipe Colosseum, where you fight not just Boom Boom, but even Pom Pom too. When I first got to this island, I was quite amazed actually. The idea of a battling Colosseum, for some reason, really caught my attention. And what caught my attention even more is that for every visit to this area, it rose. When you first got to this area, there was only 1 level. By the 3rd mission there were a whopping 3 levels of this Colosseum. And even though Boom Boom and Pom Pom are still as easy as ever, it was cool to battle them in a 3D platformer which didn't have a fixed camera. In addition to this, Boom Boom has a second fight as well, where the floor is made out of spikes. And in this fight there's so much going on. You have to avoid Boom Boom as he spins towards you, but also make sure that you don't stand on vulnerable ground. They actually made Boom Boom a difficult boss for once. Yeah. Now as for my final opinion on this island, it's okay. But just like First Step Island and Lucky Isle, it's just so small. There's not really much to do here after you've gotten everything. As cool as the Colosseum is, in the end it's still just a battle arena. All you do is battle, and while it's fun, it pales in comparison to what's coming up next. First Step Island, being an obvious pun on First Step, is the tutorial level on this game. However, unlike most tutorials, it's only accessible during the post-game. Yeah, let me explain. When you first start the game, you're just running to the end of this island to get a shine and get rid of Bowser quickly. And then you jump down and there's no way up. The only way back to this island after this is after you beat Mega Bowser and gain the ability to teleport, aka the final boss. And I mean, when you actually play the level for real, it's pretty nice. The atmosphere is just really laid back, with a Lake Lapcat theme playing in the background, the yellowish autumn grass, and the pirate ship. It's all nice. The only problem is the linearity. This level is really just a thick line when you think about it. There's not much exploration to be found, which is kind of disappointing for such a cozy island. And I'm one of those guys that loves to explore every inch of a level. First Step Island is still pretty good. In the end, it's a pretty nice level. Despite being pretty simplistic, it did make into my top 10, and that's quite impressive for such a small island. Unlike most people, I've never been the biggest fan of clear pipes. They're basically just pipes which serve as a way to quickly speed through levels, and as a result, levels typically feel artificial and empty because of that. When I play a game, I want to explore every corner of a level, not speed through the entire thing. And for that reason, Pipe Path Tower is only at number 9 on my ranking. However, for being a clear pipe centered level, I think it's actually surprisingly fun though. Sure, the fact that it is made up of clear pipes does make this level feel a bit bland. However, they're organized in such a way that you're always on your toes. Instead of it just being a straight line, they cut through each other in a way that it almost becomes a labyrinth. And because Mario is moving constantly while in these pipes, you need to think quickly which route you want to take, and it can be quite hectic as a result. Especially in the blue coin bustle mission. Sometimes you need to go 2 places at once, as one exit might have a cat shard, while the other leads to the next area. So overall, Pipe Path Tower is good. Not as good as some other areas, I mean come on, it's literally just a cube. But it's good, and it deserves this spot on my list. I think that the risky Whisker Island is by far the most original island in Bowser's Fury. Just look at it, it's a level made almost entirely out of donut blocks, you know, those platforms which fall after you stand on them for too long. An idea like this is risky, because when a level is merely composed out of one certain type of block, they tend to feel kind of artificial and bland. And while a risky Whisker Island does feel a bit bland because of this, I'd say Nintendo did a pretty good job with what they had. The blocks are organized in a way that it still feels interesting, despite it just being donut blocks. For example, there's this really cool staircase of donut blocks at one edge of the island, and it really gives this island personality, just as an example. But there's more. There's also a mission where you need to get hold of a potted piranha plant and feed it all the fuzzies on the island, and it's really unique and fun. One of the most unique missions in the game actually. This island is also quite difficult. Sure, you don't die if you fall off, but you still need to take the clear pipe back up. Overall, Risky Whisker Island is sure no bad level. It feels a bit small, however, for being an idea that is so easy to mess up, they sure succeeded. Pounce Bounce Island is just like the name suggests. You pounce, you bounce, on an island. And it's great. It's one of the first levels you play in the game, and it's mainly centered around the jump panels, which will send you high up in the air whenever you jump while standing on them. And as such, this is also a vertical level where you travel upwards a lot. Well, not as much as some other vertical levels, but yeah. And being the second island you visit, it's pretty straightforward. It offers some exploration, but overall, there isn't that much to it. It's more interesting to explore than the levels we just talked about, but overall, Pounce Bounce Island just kind of lacks an interesting environment. Pounce Bounce Isle feels a bit artificial, and it's no surprise why, as the level is made up of processed stones. It's cool, but I've always been more of a nature guy, and as such, this atmosphere doesn't do that much for me. I still think this level is super fun, and the missions are a joy to play, it's just not as great as some of the upcoming levels on this list. Triggerity Tower is by far the most interesting level to play on. When you first look at it, it doesn't seem very fascinating, just a shine in the middle of nowhere. So you walk up to it and hey, what's this invisible wall? In order to get this shine, you have to actually walk on an invisible pathway, and the only part of it you can see is what's directly under you. The main game of Super Mario 3D World had these invisible paths as well, but they weren't utilized very creatively. But here you have pathways going all over the place, and it's actually difficult trying not to fall off. It really puts your mental skills to the test, and I love that. Now the reason it's not higher on the list though is because, well, there isn't much to look at. How a level looks is important to me. Not as important as how it plays, but still, it gives the area an atmosphere. But since you can't actually see this level, yeah, you get my point. Obviously it doesn't make it bad, it's still a blast to play through. It's just that there also exist levels in this game which not only play well, but also look cool. In the end, Triggerity Tower is a great level, just not top 5 material. Fort Flaptrap, for being such a small island, is surprisingly fun. In fact, it's so fun that it made it into my top 5 on this list. Even though it's just a cuboid on a beach, they sure made it interesting. One of my favorite gamings from Super Mario 3D World, but more importantly from Super Mario Galaxy 2, are the flipping panels, which flip every time you jump. And that's what this island is centered around. And they're used very creatively, especially in the first mission, when you have to boil the bullies. And there's quite a lot of ways to do it. You can either just knock them down yourself, or you can make them walk on the flipping panels and then jump. This is just one of my favorite missions of all time. Unfortunately, the other missions aren't as good, but they're still fine. As for my biggest complaint about this island, it would be that aesthetically it's not that interesting. I mean, it's just a cuboid on a beach. However, this is one of the few islands in which the gameplay is so good that the aesthetics don't really matter that much to me. So Fort Flaptrap, a great level definitely. Scamper Shores is the first island you actually get to explore in Bowser's Fury, and boy is it good. Sure, you start on First Step Island, but you can't really do anything on it until the post-game. Scamper Shores is definitely more of a starting island, and it does a really good job at it. I'd say it's one of the greatest first levels in any Mario game, up there with Cascade Kingdom and Bob-omb Battlefield. The main thing about Scamper Shores that really gets me is the atmosphere. As you might have guessed from this ranking so far, I'm not the biggest fan of industrial or artificial levels, and that's because I much more prefer the nature-based levels like Scamper Shores. It's a nice blend of autumn, cliffs, etc. And it makes this entire island just feel very comfortable to walk around in. And the missions themselves are also fun, but not as great as the atmosphere. Exploring the island is satisfying, the collectibles are hidden in good spots, and the music is just great. It's one of those tunes you know will be nostalgic in 10 years, kind of like Mario Kart Wii's title theme or Cap Kingdom. Overall, I have really nothing to complain about. It's simply a nice level with a cozy atmosphere. I'll always stand by my words when I say that Roiling Roller Isle is by far the most underrated level in the game. Most people from what I've seen would put it in the bottom half of their rankings, sometimes even last. And my reaction is basically, what? Personally, I'll always have a special place in my heart for this level, as this was my first interaction with the Mount Magmeow theme song, which is my favorite song in the entire game. And the level itself, man is it great. I think it's probably the most difficult level in the entire game, up there with Slipskate Slope. When I first played it, I had serious troubles getting to the top. This level is made up of rotating cuboids, which progressively go upwards, but accidentally falling off is an insta-kill because of the lava below. It's a real challenge, and it's made even better by the song. This song truly makes you feel like you're hiking to the top of a power-draining mountain. It's one of the most epic levels in the game, and it's easily in my top 3 favorite levels without any hesitation. It's only at number 3 on my list because the top 2 are even more interesting. Crisp Climb Castle is in my opinion by far the most beautiful level in the game. We've already talked about the fair share of vertical levels in the game, from Pipe Path Tower to Pounce Bounce Isle. However, Crisp Climb Castle is the ultimate vertical level. The great thing about vertical levels is that whenever you reach the top of one, you typically get a great view of the rest of the level, and that couldn't be truer said for Crisp Climb Castle. There are so many things that makes this climb to the castle so amazing. You use a propeller box to ascend this tower, and I love this power up. You feel like you have so much freedom when controlling it. You can fly super high up and then slowly and steadily float back down. In that regard, it's kind of the opposite to the ice skate. This is also the only level in the game whose music theme isn't shared with any other level, making an already great music theme even more special. The song itself is just legendary. Not as good as Mount Magmeow's theme, but definitely more beautiful. Imagine Bonneton from Super Mario Odyssey, but Christmas themed. That's basically it. Another detail I love about this level is that the higher up you go, the stronger the winds get. When you're at the top, you can literally hear the winds and see them, something you couldn't do at the bottom, and it's just such an awesome detail. It really makes this location feel alive. I have literally nothing to complain about this level, and yet it's not number 1 on this list. It just goes to show how great the levels in this game are. And of course, the best island in Bowser's Fury is none other than Mount Magmeow. I think everyone can agree that this level is simply splendid. Everything about Mount Magmeow is just great. We've already gone over how good the song is when we talked about the Roiling Roller Isle, so I won't talk about that here. Mount Magmeow is the last island unlocked in the game, not counting First Step Island or Lucky Isle, and it's by far the most epic level in the game. Take Roiling Roller Isle and double the awesomeness factor, that's how great it is. You're literally climbing a cat-shaped mountain with the help of switchboards, which in my opinion was the best gimmick from Super Mario 3D World. Mount Magmeow also has my favorite missions overall. Aside from Clawswipe Colosseum, this is the only area with a boss battle, the boss in particular being Prince Bolly. And while it's pretty easy, I've always had a soft spot for this boss battle. The main mission is of course the ascension to the top of Mount Magmeow. You all know it. It's epic, challenging, fun, all in one. And the view from the top when you climb it all the way, it's amazing. All in all, Mount Magmeow is my favorite island in Bowser's Fury. So there you have it, my ranking of every single level in Bowser's Fury. But what is your favorite level in Bowser's Fury? If you like this video, then please consider sharing, liking and subscribing to my channel for more videos like this. And as a side note, please follow me on Discord, Twitter and Reddit for updates. With that being said, I'm signing off.